Test, test.
And welcome in, everybody, to Lake Norman Charter High School, the home of the Knights, as we have some senior night football action here on a Friday night as Mark Veman kicks it away, and it's at the 20. And Bonnie Cone will return. That return will go out to about the 30-yard line, and that's where the Eagles will start. As the junior Peter Ryan in on the tackle for Lake Norman Charter. So the Eagles will be out on offense first. And we'll see what they can do here. A high snap handoff up the middle, going nowhere. That's going to be a loss of a couple. A good stand from that Knights defensive line. Asher Church and Logan Freight in on the tackle. As Derek Miller, that 5'8" sophomore quarterback back there with two backs in the backfield. We got one to the near side, two to the far side. The snap, the fake handoff, rolling out to his right, just throwing it up. That's going to be an interception. David Wigna on the pick. He's at the 20. He's got room down the sideline. Touchdown, Knights. The senior David Wigna getting it done on senior night as a bad throw from Derek Miller, just kind of throwing up a prayer. And David Wigna took that one out of the sky and returned it into the end zone at 6-0, Lake Norman Charter lead. A great start to the Knights' evening. And it looks like the offense, that's Veman out there to kick the extra point. That one was up and good from Veman, but a whistle blew, and it's going to be offside on Bonnie Cone. We'll get a little more into their season a little later in the broadcast. Penalty was declined. Veman now will try that extra point once more. It is up. And through the uprights from Veman. A quick 7-0 lead from Lake Norman Charter here on senior night. We'll be back in just a moment. Back here from Lake Norman Charter High School as the Knights hold a 7-0 lead off a David Wignut pick six. On the second play of the game, quarterback Derek Miller threw up a prayer, and David Wignut was camping under it like a fly ball. And it's going to be an unsportsmanlike conduct call on Lake Norman Charter. It looked like some of those guys were running to the opposite end zone to celebrate. So Veman will be backed up and have to kick it from his own 25-yard line. So up and away from Veman. A strong kick will be returned at the 25-yard line. And looks like Bodycomb will have the ball on their own 44-yard line to get their second drive of the evening started. Liam McDonald on the tackle on the far side. And then Bodycomb also now being pushed back due to a penalty. So we see some penalties from both sides early in this ball game. It's going to be marked a 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. So two backs in the backfield for the Eagles quarterback Miller. It's going to be a handoff up the middle. Breaks one tackle, but gets nowhere. That's going to be a loss of about 3 or 4. So now 2 run plays from the Eagles, and both of them going backwards. Kendrick Williams on the carry. So it's going to be a 2nd and long now after that rush play lost 5. Looking a little bit into Bodycomb's season so far, their first year as a varsity program, they are 1-8. Not in a conference. This is their second to last game as they have Bessemer City next game as a big hit right there. As Josiah Jones was the intended receiver. But Mason Leake blew him up. And it's going to be a 3rd down and long for this Eagles offense. It's been a rough season for the Eagles, only having 1 win. And in the last 3 weeks, only scoring 6 points combined in the last 3 weeks. And now they're faced with a 3rd and long now. 9:55 left in the first quarter. It's a 7-0 Lake Norman Charter lead off the back of a pick 6 score from David Wignut. Third down on the way. Drop back looking for a receiver. Dumps it off underneath. And will be tackled way short of the first line down to gain. Evan Johnson on the tackle, and the Eagles special teams unit will have to come on the field now. Major League back to receive this punt. We've seen Drew Johnson on a couple punt returns. He has 2 scores on the year. And now Major League back there to receive. It's going to be a short punt. Bounces out of bounds at around the 40-yard line. Mark it actually a lot closer to the 50 at the 48. And it's going to be a 1st and 10 here for the Knights offense. So after David Wignut recording the pick 6, he'll go out and play some quarterback. The first offensive drive here for Lake Norman Charter. Wignut with no backs in the backfield. He'll drop back, looking for a receiver. Going deep down the field, Major Leak. He's got him. And goes off the hands of Leak. But that looks like it's going to be a pass interference call. As the flags were flying, the Knights going for some fireworks on the first offensive play of the game, just a go route to Leak. As Wignut had him if Leak didn't get tripped up. And yes, the Knights will be moved up 15 yards. As now the ball will be spotted on the Bonnicone Eagles 39-yard line. The Eagles playing with no safeties, kind of deep safeties to go against the long pass from Wignut. Wignut with the run play. That is to Gentile. A good run, bounces it to the outside. It'll be brought down at about the 24-yard line. Timeout. Looks like the ref's motion. Or it's going to be a flag, a holding call on the Charter offensive attack. So that will back him up. Kind of the penalty's almost offset now. The pass interference on the first play, and then the second play, a holding call, will make it a 1st and 20 for the Knights. Major Leak to the near side, 2 receivers to the far side. Wignut drops back, looking deep as he's going to go for Leak, but no one over there, throws it out of bounds. Maybe some confusion in the routes from those Knights receivers, and it's going to be a 2nd down and long now. As possibly it was Gentile who may have ran the wrong route there. Ball spotted at the 49 after a 5-yard penalty. So both sides with a good amount of penalties. The Knights had the unsportsmanlike conduct that backed them up 15 yards on the kickoff, a holding call earlier on the drive, and then right there another penalty pushing them back 5. Evan Johnson motions over to the right side. Wignut with the snap, drops back. No rush, he has a receiver deep down the field. And that is going to be caught for a touchdown. Lake Norman Charter gets on the board for the first time on the offensive side of the ball. And Major Leak, yet another touchdown on this season. A 49-yard bomb makes this a 13-0 game. Veman now out for the extra point. It is up and good from Veman, 14-0 as Leak was trying to find that ball in the night sky. Even I lost it up here as that one went way high. Wignut put it up for his receiver, and those 50-50s, Major Leak makes it more like 90-10s most of the time as he will win those 50-50 balls. So 7:34 left in the first quarter. Play the Knights already out to a 14-0 lead. Now Veman spots the ball at the 40-yard line and will be kicking it back to the Eagles. Up and away from Veman. A line drive kick will be dropped at about the 20-yard line and picked up. The Eagles now going back the other way. Making some room out to the 50-yard line now. Cuts it back inside. Still going. Finally tackled about the 45-yard line. That was Josiah Jones, the 5'9", 165 senior on the return. It looked like it was going to start out bad after he bobbled the line drive kick from Veman, picked it up, and took it a good ways. As this is some of the best field position the Eagles are going to get all night right here. So the Eagles offense out there with two backs in the backfield, two receivers to the far side, one to the near side. And both drives so far tonight have gone absolutely nowhere. As that might be an intentional grounding from Derek Miller. He had about 0.2 seconds to get that ball off. As they tried the play action, and by the time he faked the run to his running back and looked up, there's about 3 or 4 Knights defensive linemen right up in his grill. And yes, that will be intentional grounding. As this Bonnicone team has allowed 43, 58, and 52 points in the last 3 weeks. Those games coming against Hickory Grove Christian, Blacksburg, and Chase. And already allowing 14 so far tonight to this Knights ball club. That intentional grounding call pushes the Eagles back into their own territory at the 49-yard line. 2nd and 22. Miller gets the snap. It's a high one. He loses it, tries to jump on it. And the Eagles will recover. And they'll be pushed back about another 4 yards to the 46. It's a good job right there from Miller, just keeping that ball in front of him. Kind of swat it down and jump on it. And now a 3rd down in eternity for this Eagles offense. A 3rd and 29 for Bonnicone. And Derek Miller's going to have to make something magical work here after this offense has been stagnant. Miller going deep down the field. He has a guy. And the catch is... Actually, the Knights take it away. They have the ball. That looks like major leak with the interception at the 45. As he practically ripped it out of the hands of the receiver. A flag is down in the backfield. As we'll see what the call is. It's going to be on the Eagles, a holding call. It'll be declined. The Knights will pick up possession. A 1st and 10 for this Knights offense. As Miller had his guy down the field, just didn't put enough oomph on that throw. His receiver had to come back for it. And by that time, the Knights defender was already there. So a fresh set of downs here for the Knights offense. It's going to be a handoff up the middle for a loss of about 1. Maybe gets back to the line of scrimmage if Gentile is lucky on the 1st down carry. Stephen Hibbert, the Eagles defender on the tackle. 5:13 left here in the first quarter. 14-0 Lake Norman Charter lead here on senior night. Wigna drops back. Going out to his right, throws it to Major League. He has room. 25-10, touchdown. You're not going to catch Major League. If it's him and the defender, well, guess what? Leake's going to win that battle 99 times out of 100. 20-0 lead for Lake Norman Charter. As the Knights didn't really have to do all too much on that play call right there. It was just a simple screen pass to Leake, but he can make the most simple of plays look extraordinary. Has Warm the Bus's chance already come from the nightmare, the Lake Norman Charter student section, as Veman has a chance to make it 21-0, and he does just that. A 49-yard pass last drive and a 59-yard pass this drive to Major League, and that officially puts his yards over 1,000 on the senior. Major League, what a player he has been so far this season for this Knights team on both sides of the ball, offense, defense, and even on special teams. As earlier tonight, we saw him going back there to return that punt. You know, Leake had some interest from other schools around the area trying to recruit him, but decided to stay at Lake Norman Charter for his senior year. And oh, what a year he has had. Coming into this game, had 939 yards, but with those touchdowns, officially over 1,000. 13 receiving touchdowns coming into tonight, make that 15. And just all-purpose yards. He's been everywhere for this Knights ball club. Also have a couple pick sixes on the year, as it'll be 1st and 10 now for Bonnie Cone. Derek Miller will have to come out for the 4th time tonight through 3 drives. It's been 1 punt and 2 interceptions, and one of those interceptions being returned for a touchdown. This Knights team has a chance to make history with an 8-1 season on the horizon. Coming tonight, they are 7-1. That only loss coming against Union Academy 2 weeks ago. It was a 13-10 loss on the road to the Cardinals. And then last week, they played the South Stanley Ragin' Rebel Bulls and pulled out a last-minute touchdown from Major League to get that win. It was a 23-21 win over South Stanley. The snap to Miller, handoff up the middle, gets absolutely nothing. A loss of about 2. This is the 5th home game of the year. The Knights have not lost at home at all this year. We're supposed to have 6 home games, but that one against Winston-Salem Prep, the scheduled 2nd game of the season, got rained out. As going over the home games, had that 48-8 win over West Columbus, had the 24-8 win over Albemarle on a Monday night due to Hurricane Helene, had the homecoming 50-0 win, and the 22-10 North Stanley win on the 11th of October. It's going to be a 2nd and 12 now for the Bonnie Cone offense. One back in the backfield, trips to the far side, one receiver to the near side. 3:50 left here in the first quarter. Snap to Miller, a little bit high, looking for a receiver, and he will be taken down to the backfield. And a big sack from Logan Freight will back up this Eagles offense even more. It's going to be a 3rd down and forever. As besides that kick return earlier in the game from Josiah Jones, That put Bonnie Cone in pretty good field position. They've had nothing going in the forward direction. And it's going to be a timeout from the Bonnie Cone Eagles. So we'll give them a break and we'll take a minute off the broadcast. 21-0, Lake Norman Charter lead here in the first quarter. It's going to be a penalty instead of a timeout, excuse me. Clock at 2 minutes 40 seconds. Two backs in the backfield, two receivers to the far side, one to the near side. Miller drops back and will be brought down for a loss of about 3 or 4. And Bonnie Cone will have to punt this away from about their own 6-yard line. As the line of scrimmage is officially the 5-yard line after that loss of 2. As Jace Newton, the 6-foot sophomore, back to punt, and he'll be having his heels on that end zone line. As that punt was almost blocked up into the air and will bounce to about the 28-yard line, and that's where the Knights will start another drive here in the first quarter, as they will not have far to go, as it is already the first quarter, and this game is on the track to a running clock for the whole second half if the Knights can get a touchdown in the final minute 41. As Wignut has had way too much time to throw the ball, and about nobody on that Bonnie Cone defense can guard Major League, and they're really not doing anything to stop them. They have one-on-one coverage every single play with no deep high safety. And that's a recipe for disaster. The handoff to Gentile up the middle. A good gain of about 6 or 7 will make it a second down and short for this Lake Norman Charter offense. Chase Gentile has really had to step up in his second year on varsity. And it's been the lead back for this Knights offense. Clock now under a minute at 45 seconds to go. Wignut with the snap. That's going to be another handoff to Gentile. Bounces it to the outside. Now back inside. Has some blockers. There's going to be a first down, and he's going to get stopped just short of the end zone. It's going to be a first and goal for the Knights now. That rush will go down for a gain of 16 from the sophomore. We'll see if the Knights get off another play here in the first quarter. Clock under 20 seconds at 15. And the Knights look content to hold that 21-0 lead going into the first quarter break. What a first quarter for Lake Norman Charter. Got it out, started hot with a pick-6 return from a David Wignut. And the second touchdown of the game was that 49-yard pass completed to Major League. That made it 14-0. And then the 55-yard pass, the next drive off the back of a Knights interception, made it 21-0. And the Knights have the ball about the 2-yard line as they will switch ends of the field. And we'll be back in just a moment. 21-0 lead in favor of the Knights. It is Lake Norman Charter ball, first and goal, first play of the second quarter, as that rush will be stopped in the backfield. The Knights try to hand it off to Gentile, but that is no luck. It'll be a second and goal now for the Knights. Now second and goal from the 5-yard line. We'll see if the Knights pass this one or stick with the rush. One back behind Wignut. That's going to be Gentile. Snap to Wignut. Fakes the handoff. Looking for a receiver, and he'll be sacked. Didn't know that guy was coming from his blind side. As that was Sam McNeil, the 5'9 senior. He's a corner, a little bit of a cornerback blitz right there from the Eagles. The sack loses 10 yards. And a long third and goal right now for this Knights offense. It's going to be 5 wide for the Knights. Bonnie Cone sends the blitz. The pass to Leak. Touchdown! A little out route towards the outside of the end zone. Beautifully placed from Wignut. And Major Leak gets his third touchdown of the evening. Make it 21-0 in favor of the guys wearing black. That one put down as a 15-yard score. And Veman out to kick his 4th extra point of the evening. Two personal fouls, one of them Bonnie Cone and one of the Knights, so they will offset. So this extra point will be from a normal standing. Dylan Wignut will be the holder. The refs still discussing that unsportsmanlike call, but they will offset. And now Veman on for the extra point. It will be good. Veman 4 for 4 on the night for extra points, and it's a 28-0 Lake Norman Charter lead. Veman will now boot it away. 10:20 left here in the second quarter, a 28-0 lead. Up and away from Veman. It'll be returned at the 20-yard line. Some good blocks for the Eagles, and it'll be taken down at the 40-yard line. Pretty good field position for a struggling Bonnie Cone offense. And Derek Miller out for his 5th drive of the evening. 2 interceptions and 2 punts. That last punt, the Eagles were backed up in their own end zone when they had to boot it away. And the Eagles, they are a first-year program and going straight into varsity. Just trying to build from this year and improve little by little each year against a Lake Norman Charter team that's probably having their second best season ever in school history, as that run loses yards, loses about 4 or 5. Second and long for Bonnie Cone. As this 2024 squad goes up pretty good against the 2012 squad that went 10-2. As a wide receiver screen is incomplete. It's going to be a third down and long. That 2012 squad went 10-2 with an 83.3% win percentage. The only 2 losses were to East Lincoln at home and then a second round loss to Hendersonville in the playoffs. Third and 18 now for the Eagles. 2 backs in the backfield. 2 receivers to the near side, 1 to the far side. The Knights playing 1 high safety, that being Wignut. And the Eagles will just hand it off on 3rd and 18. Almost just kind of submitting to the Knights, saying, hey, we're not even going to try to push this ball down the field. Just hand it off and send out the punt team, count our losses. As the big junior Henry Casey on the tackle. As Jason Newton will go out to punt. For the 3rd time this evening, Major League and Cam Simpson back to return for the Knights. .754 left here in the second quarter to 28-0, Lake Norman Charter lead. Newton with the punt. Solid contact will be returned from Cam Simpson at the 45. He has some room to the outside at the 40. And breaks a tackle almost, trying to stay on his feet, just couldn't. Brought down at about the 38-yard line, but it's going to be good field position for this Knights offense. Sam McNeil will be credited with the tackle for the Eagles. And 1st and 10 for David Wignut and his crew, as he has led this offensive unit to touchdowns in every single drive they have stepped on the field. As now Major League will be thrown it to Wignut, little trick play. Wignut gets the ball. He's at the 10. 1 defender to beat. Touchdown, Knights. The trick play works to perfection. As little Philly special action almost. As Wignut gave that one to Leak. Leak threw it to Wignut. And he took it to the crib for a touchdown. A 39-yard touchdown pass. And this is a beatdown. 34-0 Lake Norman Charter lead. The 2 seniors that have connected for so many touchdowns this season, connecting kind of in a different way. Normally it's Wignut to Leak, but right there it was Leak to Wignut. It's going to be an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty on the Knights. That will be enforced on the kickoff, so they'll back them up 15. But Veman out now for the extra point to make it 35-0. The snap, the hold, the kick. Good from Veman, 35-0 Lake Norman Charter. And Veman stays perfect on the night for extra points. And now he'll be backed up 15 yards due to the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty here on the kickoff. The Knights will kick from their 25 now. Up and away from Veman. And a great kick will back them up to about the 1 yard line. They're going to have to return it. A hound of Knights defenders will bring down the returner at about the 15-yard line. What a boot from Veman. So Bonnie Cone with not great field position here. And Bonnie Cone has a Mount Everest-sized mountain to climb here. 6:53 left. It's a 35-0 Lake Norman Charter lead. Two backs in the backfield. The snaps over the head of Miller. And can the Knights get the touchdown, or is that going to be a safety? They will call it a safety as the ball goes through the back of the end zone. That snap to quarterback Derek Miller way over his head. Make it 37-0 Lake Norman Charter lead. So both teams will huddle up, and we'll give them a second. It's a timeout here in the second quarter. 37-0, 6:33 left. Lake Norman Charter leads. So after the safety, Bonnie Cone will kick it away. A short kick received at the 45-yard line. And the Knights will take shop at the 35. Liam McDonald, the junior, on the return. 6:21 here in the second quarter, 37-0 Lake Norman Charter lead. First and 10, 6 minutes to go here. Wingnut drops back, all the time in the world. A little flip pass for a first down, and a little bit more as a first down from a long margin for the Knights. Evan Johnson on the reception absolutely trucked a man. I mean, sent him into next week. It was hard to see who it was on the reception, but Johnson with a full head of steam just went through him like a snowplow. It's going to be first and goal now for the Knights at the 10-yard line. Wingnut hands it off to Gentile, up the middle. Touchdown, Knights. A 10-yard rush into the end zone. Adds fuel to the fire here for the Knights. 43-0 Lake Norman Charter lead. And now Veman will go out for yet another extra point. Up and away from Veman. It's good. He stays perfect on the evening. Now 6 for 6 on PAT tries. So Veman now will kick it away. Veman on the kick, and not much room to run for the Bonnie Cone special teams unit. And it looks like a flag on the play will back up the Eagles a little bit more. It'll be a first and 10 at about the 15-yard line. The last drive from the Eagles was a snap over the head of Miller, and he just did it again, back into the end zone. Miller trying to find the ball. He'll get tackled. Safety for the Knights, back-to-back drives, And back-to-back safeties from this Lake Norman Charter Knights defense. As the snap went over the head of Miller once again. Evan Johnson on the tackle makes it 46-0, Lake Norman Charter lead. And just like that, the Knights offense will get the ball once more. So the Eagles will kick it away. Bounces at the 45 and will be returned from Leak. He's going to try to make something special happen here. Cuts inside, breaks a tackle, going out to the right. He has room. He has blockers. One defender to beat. Cuts back inside. 5, 10, touchdown Knights. Major Leak extends this game to 52-0. And adds another touchdown to his tally this evening. And just like that, we have a running clock here in the second quarter. That is something you do not see every game. Veman, perfect so far tonight on extra points. And that's going to be a false start on one of those Bonnie Cone defensive linemen. So Veman will try to put it through the uprights once more. Up and away from Veman. Through the uprights, 53-0, Lake Norman Charter lead. The clock now ticking under 2 minutes to play as yes, this running clock will be going during changes of possession like this kickoff right now. Veman spots the ball at the 40-yard line. Clock now out, 1:30 to play here in the second quarter. It's a 53-0 Lake Norman Charter lead. Maybe with a line drive kick will be returned at about the 10-yard line. And brought down by a swarm of Knights special teamers. That was Josiah Jones on the return for Bonnie Cone. The sophomore Devin Chu on the tackle. It looks like Bonnie Cone might run about one play and call it a half. Clock now under 50 seconds. Clock now at 17 seconds. The handoff up the middle gets the gain of about 1 or 2. And that will be our first half of play. A 53-0 lead for Lake Norman Charter going into the halftime intermission here on senior night. The Knights will play 2 more quarters and try to give their seniors a good send-off. They're on track to do so right now. 53-0, Charter lead. Will be back after the halftime break. And welcome back here, second half. A 53-0 Lake Norman Charter Knights lead. As a running clock will be in place for the remainder of the game with a large lead the Knights have. It's going to be a run up the middle from the Knights. A gain of about 2. How was John Allison on the carry? Sam McMaster's now the quarterback into the game for the Knights. Second and 7 now from the Knights' 48-yard line. Snap to McMasters. Handoff. And a gain of about 2 to about the 50-yard line. That was Landon Featherstone on the carry. It'll be a third down and medium now for the Knights offense. Third play of the drive here on a third down. McMasters. And dropped right there by Evan Johnson. So it's going to be a fourth down, and the Knights will send out Veman to punt for the first time this evening. Clock now under 9 minutes here in the third quarter. Up and away from Veman, will bounce at about the 15-yard line, and he will pin them deep in body cone territory. It'll be a first and 10 for the Eagles offense. As some of the second string guys getting some reps here in the second half in the last game of the year. 53-0 Lake Norman Charter lead. As we've seen some unusual ball carriers here in the second half, both Landon Featherstone and John Allison. Both seniors, and the Knights coaching staff let them get some action on the ground. That penalty from the Eagles will back them up even further. Ball at the 5-yard line. Whistles blow. And that's going to be a timeout from the Body Cone Eagles. And we will use this short break as a reminder to follow us on Instagram at LNC Sports Network on Instagram, as it is our #1 place of communication out to the public. Game day, final score posts, interviews, photography, and everything in between posted on our Instagram. That is at LNC Sports Network. And make sure to subscribe to us right here on YouTube and turn on post notifications to be alerted every time that we go live, as out with the fall sports and in with winter, as high school basketball is on the horizon. First game November 15th for the Lake Norman Charter Knights basketball program. Will be at home against Christ the King. Will be live at 5:30 for the varsity girls basketball game. And then we'll be live again at 7 as the men's team hosts the Crusaders of Christ the King. First down, run up the middle from Bonnie Cone. And that'll be tackled in the backfield for a loss of about 1. Kendrick Williams, the ball carrier, as that Lake Norman Charter basketball team looking to improve on kind of a down season last year. 4 non-conference games to start the year. Home against Christ the King. They'll go away at the Community School of Davidson and away at Pine Lake Prep. And then a big one on the 26th against Weddington. as KJ Younger, one of the best high school players in the Charlotte area, will be coming to Lake Norman Charter, and we'll, of course, have that game live streamed on our YouTube as well. It's going to be a run from Bonnie Cone and get back to the original line of scrimmage in a little bit more. It's going to be a 3rd down and 8 now for this Eagles offense. Clock at 6:35 here in the third quarter. And the holding on the offense will be declined. So that will set up a 3rd down. As along with the men's team, we'll be broadcasting all the women's home games this year, trying to improve on a down year last year. Didn't have any starters on the team. They only have 1 starter on the team this year, and that being Lucy Courtney. And Coach Michael Porter and company will be looking to have a rebuilding year. So make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and be live in the Lake Norman Charter Gym, broadcasting all those games. It's going to be a 3rd down and about 6 here for the Bonnie Cone offense. 5:44 left here in the third quarter. 53-0 Lake Norman Charter lead. It's going to be a handoff up the middle. Bounces it to the outside. A shoestring tackle by a Knights defender will set up a 4th down. And this LNC football program is in a transition, kind of a conference period, so they are ineligible for the playoffs this year. If they were eligible, they would certainly, you have to imagine, be one of the top seeds in the 3A West, as they would going to be clocking an 8-1 record on the year, but cannot make playoffs this year, but will be moved into a conference when the realignment moves to 7 divisions in North Carolina. And you got to imagine the Knights losing a lot of production this year, but next year will be a force to be reckoned with any conference they go into. But this year ineligible, unfortunately, for the playoffs. A punt away from Bonnie Cone will be returned at about the 38-yard line. The Knights special team's trying to make something work. Still on his feet is Drew Johnson. He'll back it up to the outside, going way around the corner. 1 defender to beat. Now a couple more guys come over. Flags on the play. He still stays up. He won't go down. And takes about 4 or 5 Bonnie Cone defenders to take him down at about the 24-yard line. Two penalties on the Knights, both a holding and a block in the back. So that will back up the Knights offense. And senior quarterback Sam McMaster's now out for his 2nd drive here in the second half. Clock now at 3:30 left here in the third quarter. Lake Norman Charter lead still at 53-0. All 53 of those points being put up in the first half of play. So the line of scrimmage will be the 39 after the penalties. Right up the middle is a solid one. Will be a gain of about 8 or 9. And that was big number 60, Carson Patch on the carry, the 6'6", 295 senior. As there is a flag on the play. It looks like it will be on the offense. It's going to be marked as a personal foul. It's going to be a 15-yard penalty, so the line of scrimmage will be the Bonnie Cone 47-yard line. One back in the backfield for McMasters. Drops back, looking to the right side. Caught by Drew Johnson, it looks like, and he'll gain about 8 or 9. That was Mason Leak on the far side. Makes it a second down and more manageable now for the Knights. And it's going to be an official timeout. 124 here in the third quarter, 53-0, Lake Norman Charter lead. And after that quick timeout, the offensive unit will step back onto the field. Clock now under a minute to go here in the first quarter. McMasters drops back. A pass to Levi Church, breaks out to the outside, 25-20. And that's going to be a touchdown, Knights. Senior to senior connection, Sam McMasters to Levi Church. Church easy to spot in those neon green cleats. And the Knights will put up some points on the board here in the third quarter. Make it 59-0. As it looks like the Knights will let the clock run out here in the third quarter, so Veman will take that extra point on the opposite end zone to make it 60-0, 59-0 lead into the third quarter play. We'll be right back in just a moment for the fourth quarter here at Lake Norman Charter High School on the LNC Sports Network. So play clock running here in the fourth quarter. Veman out to take the extra point. It's going to be a bad snap. Wigner rolls out to his right. He's got a man in the end zone. 2-point conversion completed. 61-0. The sophomore Dylan Wignut made the best out of a bad situation. Mason Leak on the catch. 61-0 Knights lead now with 11 minutes here in the fourth quarter to play. So now this special teams unit going out for yet another kickoff. Veman's leg has to be tired by now by all these kickoffs and extra points he's had to hit tonight. Veman tees up the ball at the 40. Stands about 9 yards away from the ball. That's really the only big gain play from Bonnie Cone tonight was a solid return from Josiah Jones on one of the kickoffs. A low kick from Veman. We returned at about the 19-yard line. And no chance for that Bonnie Cone returner to do much of anything as that Knight special teams unit was on him in a jiffy. So it'll be a 1st and 10 now for the Eagles offense. As Bonnie Cone still has one more game to look forward to this year, so it's not going to end it out on this note at least. Bonnie Cone has only scored 6 points in the last 3 weeks and in danger of putting up another 0 right here, as that game next Friday night is on the road at Bessemer City, a 7:30 kickoff. The throw will be incomplete from the Eagles. It'll be a 2nd down and 10 now. Josiah Jones was the intended receiver. .826 here in the 4th quarter. Two backs in the backfield, 2 receivers to the near side, 1 to the far side here for the Eagles offense. And that run goes nowhere, a loss of about 2 yards. Nolan Walters on the tackle. Walters, a dual rostered guy for JVN varsity. And records the tackle. It's going to be a 3rd down and long now. Looks at about 3rd down and 12. For the Eagles offense, it's a high snap corralled. And going to try to do something with it. Bounces to the outside. A gain of about 2 yards. It's going to be a 4th down now for the Eagles. As that has been some issues tonight for the Eagles, has been just the snap to the quarterback, as they've had 2 safeties due to snaps that have gone over the head of their quarterback, Derek Miller. Devin Chu will be the punt returner here now for the Knights. This will be his first varsity punt return of the season. And they're going to be a fake punt to the outside. It's going to throw. That's a 1st down. Bonnie Cone with maybe the first down they have had in, well, maybe the 1st quarter, comes by way of a fake punt. As I guess when you have a night like tonight, you got to get it any way you can, and a fake punt is how the Eagles get a 1st down. Clock now at 5:40 here in the 4th quarter. A run to the outside for the Eagles. A flag on the play. Runner still up, fighting for some extra yards. It'll be a second down and short, but we'll have to see who the penalty's on. The sophomore, Colton Clark, on the tackle. Looks like whatever the penalty was, it's going to be declined. Ball spotted at the 31-yard line. As we see Sam Chiron motioning over to the near side. The snap over the head of the quarterback. Rolling around for it on the ground. He'll lay on it at about the 47 as Derek Miller having to deal with yet another bad snap. As right after the Bonnie Cone offense and special teams gets kind of two positive plays back-to-back, they'll set them back with a bad snap. Having to deal with another bad snap there. Rolls out to his right. Going to run for it. A gain of about 2 or 3. Still a long ways to go for that first down marker. Clock now under 3 minutes to play. It's going to be a 4th and 18. And the offense will stay on the field now for Bonnie Cone. If they don't convert, possibly the last offensive play of the night. Going deep down the field. Has a guy out there. Intercepted. Jake Wozniak with the interception. The 6'2 sophomore rose up there and caught that ball. Jake the Snake with his first varsity interception. First and 10 from the 25. Clock at 1:30 remaining. So maybe only about 2 more plays left. It's going to be a run by the Knights. They pick up about 4 or 5. Clock now at a minute to go. "30 seconds remaining on an incredible year for the Lake Norman Charter Knights. Their final record will be 8-1. The final play will be a run, and it might be a touchdown here, as this is Mason Leak. About 10 yards to go, and he's going to get it. Touchdown, Knights. And that caps off your season, ladies and gentlemen. 67-0, final score. Lake Norman Charter Knights win it here on senior night with Mason Leak with a last-second touchdown. That's a memory he will never forget on senior night. 8-1, your final record on the season. Signing off one last time for Friday Night Lights, I'm Zay Metz. Thank you for joining us tonight and all season long here on the Lake Norman Charter Knights Sports Network. And make sure to join us right here on the 15th when the Knights play host to the Christ the King Crusaders for some basketball action both on the women's and men's side. So everybody have a great rest of your Friday night. The final score here from Huntersville, Bonnie Cone Leadership Academy 0, Lake Norman Charter Knights 67. Signing off. Have a good night.